Is the US stock bubble about to pop? What's the best way to invest for your newborn? And do you have to wait till you're 75 to enjoy your investments? Let's find out. Welcome back to the Personal Finance Club show. Hey, Jen.
Hey, Jeremy. Are you a coupon cutter?
Coupon cutter.
Also, do you say coupon or coupon?
I'm a coupon guy. Are you
Yeah,
a coupon gal?
I'm a coupon. I think I'm a coupon, but now I can't think of what I normally say.
I would never say coupon unless I was like trying to sound intentionally pretentious or something.
Is that
Let me get
pretentious?
my coupon.
That sounds normal.
It must be like a regional thing though. But I think in Southern California, we all kind of, we don't feel the regional things as much because Southern California is such a melting pot of people from the rest of the country who have all blended here. Whereas in Michigan, if you said soda in Michigan, people would like laugh at you because no one calls it soda. They call it pop. Whereas here, I think here pop sounds a little bit weirder, but I just think here people just don't get worked up about that stuff because you hear so much different.
Right.
Anyway, what was the question? Coupons? Now I can only talk about coupons.
You're saying coupons.
I'm doing it on purpose, Jen, to sound pretentious, like I just said.
Sorry. I didn't know.
But part of my upbringing, much of my upbringing from early adulthood at 17 when I left the house to go to college through my 30s was like living very, very frugally.
Right.
I would, pace up and down the aisles of the grocery store looking for, anything under $1 because I didn't want to spend over $1 on a food item. If I spend $100 on something, that would be like a week's long, process. Whereas yesterday I went to lunch with my mom who's in town and we spent $30 on parking by mistake because I turned into some parking garage. It was $30. I was like, well, what are you gonna do? That would have bankrupted me a few years ago. But I never was really a coupon guy though, strangely enough. I don't know, even in my extremely frugal years, I kind of saw it as just like more time and effort than it was worth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen some of these extreme coupon shows where somehow people have like 2 grocery carts like overflowing with stuff and their total bill is like $4.15 or something.
Yeah.
I don't really understand that, but yeah, no, I've never really been a couponer. I don't think. I just feel like you lose them.
I'm surprised to hear that.
Yeah, I am surprised to say. I don't know. I guess even like Costco, I get into fights about Costco with people where they say if you pay more for their membership, you get like 2% cash back. But they send it to you as a voucher. Then you have to remember to take that voucher to the store and spend it. And I'm sure some of those vouchers never get spent because people lose them, forget them, whatever. And so like, anything that's like not cash has this like lesser value because it's like likely to be lost or not spent or whatever. So I don't know, something in me doesn't like that. Do you coupon?
I guess hearing you explain it, it makes sense because my view on it. So my best friend is very frugal. She's very good with money. She has a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old. So she's always trying to like find ways to save money because having a family is very expensive. Yeah. And I feel like she fashions her life in such a way that she will go and do things based on a coupon. So like she'll be like, oh, we're going to play laser tag because there's a coupon for it. We're going to this restaurant because the kids eat free. Like she goes to Moe's every Sunday because kids eat free on Sundays. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's almost like it fits into her life. Whereas for me, I feel like when I use coupons, I end up spending more money because I'm like looking to use the coupon as opposed to saving on something I was going to already buy.
Right. Because
even when I go to like Ralph's or Vons, I have the Deal Saver apps or whatever, but then I go on there and I'm like, I don't need any of that stuff. So why am I going to use that coupon just so I can
100%.
get cheap pears? Like, I don't want pears.
I think that is perfectly kind of illustrates the balance of a lot of personal finance topics where if executed poorly, it can actually be a negative.
Right.
You're actually spending more just to try to use the coupon. Whereas if executed well, like I bet your friend probably does really well with frugality where she lives like a very rich, full life. No one like looks at, if they're not looking too close at her finances, no one looks at her like, oh, your kids never do anything. They're like, no, we went to play laser tag, we went to Moe's,
they
like yada,
do
yada, yada.
So much.
Right,
but it's
exactly.
all like a deal. Even her like all-inclusive vacations, it's like, oh, it was cheaper if we went in March. So we took a vacation then and we stayed home for the summer or like whatever it may be.
Yeah. No,
it's
and
crazy.
No, I've been like that to some degree in my past. I have friends like that, and you can actually live very frugally like that, and actually like really respect that. So for me, I guess I've done lots of crazy frugal stuff, but never really been into coupons for some reason.
Okay. Interesting.
Maybe that's a failure of my own.
Okay.
Respect to your friend.
Yeah, I respect all versions of this. Okay, should we get into the episode?
Yeah, what are we doing?
We're getting into Scroll Patrol.
Scroll Patrol.
Ow, ow. Okay, so as you know, this is a video that Jeremy has not seen. I've scoured from the internet. I will preface this. You haven't seen this video, but I'll preface that this was around tax season that this video was posted, so that's why it's you'll see why I'm explaining that. But other than that, I'm not going to tell you anything else about it. So let's watch it together and you can give it a score.
Okay.
This is the May Money Challenge. Number 1, delete Uber Eats for 1 week. Number 2, if you're getting a tax refund, invest 10%. Number 3, open up a Roth IRA and make a contribution if you're eligible to do so. Number 4, no Amazon purchases for an entire week. Number 5, set a limit for Memorial Day spending. Number 6, negotiate your car insurance rates. Number 7, increase your 401k annual auto increase by 2% per year. Number 8, cancel one subscription that you don't even use. Number 9, add $200 to your emergency fund. And number 10, meal prep for 2 weeks straight. If you're ready for the challenge, comment "I'm in" below.
I'm in.
We're definitely not gonna be able to monetize this video. They use Michael Jackson, bro.
Oh, no.
Come on.
All I get is these demonetization emails from YouTube. Yeah. Who's using Michael Jackson?
Like Michael Jackson, you know you can't use that.
We're gonna get our entire brand sued out of existence. You reused a 20-second clip of Michael Jackson. We own you now. Yeah, so that's Mark from Betterwald. He's a friend of the show. I've known Mark like way back when we were both like, he's like a...
You know him? You're famous.
What do you know? I'm famous. Shouldn't you be impressed that he knows me?
Oh, sure.
All right. Look at, if you can't see Jen rolling her eyes because you're driving right now, it was...
Then you should be a video listener.
Outrageous. You can join our other 3 YouTube watchers.
Yeah.
No, but I've known Mark way back when we were both little baby creators, and now he's a big creator, and we're big creators, right? We're kind of big.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've met him many times, hung out many times, but yeah, he kind of threw a lot at us in that video. It was like 10 things, and it felt like just like spaghetti against the kitchen wall. It's like, save some, invest some, set a spending limit, don't do this, don't do. It really felt a little bit chaotic to me. Everything he was saying was, a good idea purportedly. I do think I caught a little mistake there. The very first one said delete Uber Eats for 2 weeks, but then he said 1 week because he's like, if you're just listening, he's showing a laptop screen kind of like of a little PowerPoint of these 10 things he's doing for his challenge. Mark, what you doing, man? Is it 2 weeks or is it 1 week? I don't know how long to delete Uber Eats for.
Oh my gosh. So wait, can I interject? Because this reminds me also of my best friend who's in Florida right now. Her husband is South African. So her daughter and her husband went to South Africa and she went to Universal Studios with her son. And she was literally texting me yesterday and she's like, how much do I tip Uber? How much do I tip DoorDash? Like, they're asking me to tip again. Should I? And I'm like, oh my God. And I use those things so much that I was like, I don't even know, girl. Like, I feel like there's a middle option. I'm just like automated, like just giving these people all this money. And then I'm like, don't tip them twice. And she's like, I know these people, if you're doing DoorDash or Uber Eats, you probably aren't making a ton of money. I want to make sure I'm not being cheap. But like, that's how frugal she is. She doesn't even use those. She's like asking me how to.
What's the culture of using a delivery app?
But it's true. Like you can't, if you have 2 kids, you can't really be doing that stuff like that. And like, it's so expensive. The price hike as opposed to like walking to Chipotle when it comes to DoorDash or Uber Eats. Like, I know this is one of his points in the video. It's like, it is really like you're paying 3x for like these things.
No, I definitely have sat there and done a side by side. I'm like, okay, if I walk into Jersey Mike's, the sandwich is going to cost me $8.95. If I buy it on Uber Eats, it's going to cost me $27.
Literally,
it's like
not even an exaggeration.
No, it's not an exaggeration. It's outrageous because it's like the prices they're showing you are more just because Uber Eats doesn't, or because the restaurants don't want to take a loss. Yeah. So they increase their prices so that when the app takes their cut, they still get paid the same. Then the app charges fees. Right. Then there's like these like bonus fees, and there's like in California there's these like other fees, and then there's there's the tip, and suddenly your $9 sandwich became $13, became $19, became $26, became whatever. I'm like, wow. And sometimes you're just like, I don't care, man. Give me a $27
Literally
sandwich.
me last night.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's depending on your financial situation. You know, if you're a multimillionaire, you know, $27 sandwich is no big deal. If you're trying to live in $1,000 a month budget, you know, a $27 sandwich could feed you for a couple of days. You know, it should be 6 meals, not 1 meal.
Right.
So you know, depends on your situation. But yeah, so back to Mark's video here. You know, I don't even know what to say because like any one of these I think is you know a good idea. I'm just going to go through some of it again. He says delete Uber Eats, invest 10% of your tax refund. That's cool. But then the very next one says open a Roth IRA and make a contribution if you're eligible. You know, that's also investing. So does that count as number 2? You know, it's kind of like that's kind of the same thing, investing. I'm being kind of critical of him now. 4, no Amazon purchase for a week. You know something I've been fantasizing about lately is, and I'm trying to get my wife on board, and she's not nearly as excited as I am. I want to do a no spend month, and it sounds gimmicky, and it probably is gimmicky, but I'm thinking like February of next year. Let's pick the shortest month. Like give ourselves a break here. But February of next year, don't spend any money. You know, and I'll say you can make exceptions for like automated mortgage payments, automated rent, utilities, things that, you know, they're going to shut your lights off. But, you know, it really forces you to be creative about money and more forces you to think, because when I go through my day, I spend money frequently, and almost always when I'm having this little thought process now, I'm thinking I could get away without spending this money. You know, there's an alternate option here where I, you know, don't buy this thing. I eat at home. I eat food I already have, or we do something, you know, instead of going to a, you know, paid event, we go to a free park and, you know, do something. You know, there's always like lots of alternatives. And if you kind of force yourself for a month to like live in that mindset, I think it's going to like breed a lot of creativity.
Right.
There's actually a book that I just heard a podcast about. I haven't read the book yet, embarrassingly, but I think it's called Think Inside the Box. And it basically is making the case that most creativity is actually born out of restriction, not unlimited, like, you know, opportunity or whatever.
Right.
And so like, you know, the best businesses, the best art, the best whatever, is actually when people are forced to work with restrictions. And so, you know, no Amazon purchase for a week. I'm like, okay, a week, if you can't get through a week, you know, even me who's burning money like crazy these days, you know, a week's not bad. You can just put it in your cart and wait till, you know, Monday or whatever.
Yeah.
Set a limit for Memorial Day spending. See, I think this is kind of all over the place. Like you know, what, you know, limit for what? For 3 days? Are you already like planning to spend more? I don't know. Maybe that's valuable.
I feel like people also do those big purchases. Like they'll buy a mattress on Memorial Day. You know what I mean? Maybe. So maybe it's like instead of buying the mattress and the lawnmower and the fridge, you're like, what's my one big purchase for this vacation? Where once again, there's the like sales, but they're not really deals. They're just like marking things up to mark them down.
No, that's fair. I actually, my you know, my kids are now sharing a room, 2 boys, and we decided to get them bunk beds, and so we went to Living Spaces. Shout out
Living Spaces. I love Living Spaces.
It's so funny that you sang that, because I tell my 5-year-old whenever he sees a worker inside the store to sing that jingle, and the little 5-year-old goes around going Living Space, and the workers are never like, they should be like, that's the best thing ever, and like they don't even hear him or whatever. I'm like, oh,
I love it. I was like, my goal is to be able to sing the Living Spaces jingle.
I mean, the way you just did it, you could have told me that you did sing the jingle. I would have believed it. That was amazing. Jen, by the way, if you don't know, is actually like a professional singer, musician, was on the Super Bowl, singing during the Super Bowl. Technically true. Don't explain, Jen. Zip it. Technically true.
All I want is to be able to sing the Living Spaces theme. That's all. Like the first time I heard it when I was listening to LA radio, I was like, who is that? I love this jingle.
And so it's like just saying 2 words.
It's
and
literally so
still
simple.
Bores a hole in your brain for some reason. So Living Spaces. So we went to go buy bunk beds, and you know, we're like, oh, they're not that bad. They're like, you know, it was like $1,200 for a bunk bed. You know, it's a lot of money, obviously, but it's not like crazy. And then, you know, we walk out of there, and I like look at the bill, and it's $3,000. Like $3,000. I'm like, well, how do we get to $3,000? It's like, oh, it's $1,200. Plus, we got the staircase that goes next to the bunk bed because it's got drawers in it. Plus, you need mattresses. I kind of forgot about that when I was pricing out the bunk bed, because they sell the mattresses separately.
Yeah.
And then you know, tax and everything, delivery for. So like, do you want to like drag this bunk bed up the stairs yourself and get rid of like gallons of trash, or do you want us to do it for $99? I'm like, well, I kind of want you to do it for $99.
Right.
So anyway,
That's
maybe
how it happens.
maybe
They
if I
get
set
you.
a limit for $1,000 for my Memorial Day spending, I would have been better off.
You wouldn't have got a bunk bed.
Well, see, that's the thing though, because I think we could have gotten a bunk bed for $1,000,
Right.
but it would have been like got the frame from Facebook Marketplace and bought
Right.
2 mattresses from Costco. Would have been an equally good bunk bed.
Yeah.
The kids would be equally thrilled about it, and we could have totally done that for $1,000.
Oh, so Mark's onto something a little bit here.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, being frugal. I don't know if he owns that as like kind of our tagline. But yeah, I mean, the point is, even the guy who's made a brand of personal finance burns money by mistake sometimes.
Yeah.
So anyway, let me give Mark a score. Everything he's saying is good. Like he's a great creator. He's saying all the right things. But if I'm going to give him an honest score for this piece of content in a silo, I'm going to give it a B+, just because for me it just felt a little bit hard to follow because it's so much. Like, see what he's going for. He's like, hey, try all these things. It's like, hey, do 10 things all at once. I feel like that's way less. Just to put out a point at, like, I highly doubt anyone did this. I doubt
Right.
very many people did all the 10 of these things. Like, maybe that's not the point. Maybe it's to inspire you to do one of these things or whatever.
Mhm.
But I think, part of our like mantra here is to keep it simple.
Mhm.
And I think that this is kind of implying you need to do 17 things, insurance and no. And while everything he's saying is right, I just think, to me, that content didn't hit as much as some of his other content.
I think
So-
a B+ is just a fine
Yeah.
score. I
Yeah,
think you'd
B+
be
is-
proud to see that.
B+ is fine.
Yeah,
Of
go
course you
Mark.
Pick his crappy content. You're
Oh.
probably going to meet him at FinCon in a couple months.
Listen, the good advice, like the solidly good advice that has no flaws, is not interesting. I love a little Michael Jackson May money
Yeah,
challenge.
no, that's true. I mean, to be fair to him, like that's the challenge we all have, which is like if you just like give good, really honest, simple, clear advice, 3 likes, no one cares.
Right.
If you're like,
Right.
this is why Elon Musk should buy Taylor Swift, you're like, everyone's like, ooh, what? I mean, that's
Right.
made up 2 buzzwords. I don't even know what that means.
And I
but
also feel like if I was doing the simple advice, we'd have the same Scroll Patrol every week.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no?
Good thing there's a lot of content out there. All right, let's move on.
Facts. Okay, let's get into our hot topic.
These are current events or topics of current interesting note. What is today's hot topic?
Okay, so we got a video from Alexa on Instagram. Thank you, Alexa. So today's hot topic is all about people running away from U.S. stocks. So we chatted about this the other day. You said it's something you've been seeing a lot lately. So let's watch this video together and we'll talk about it.
If you have a big position in U.S. technology stocks, my personal advice would be to sell it all. At the very least, reduce it.
Really now?
Yeah,
Have you sold your stocks now?
yeah, of course.
Did you have a lot in there?
No. If you feel you have to own them, make sure you own them outside America. You can find good broad indices, kind of the world ex-US or emerging markets.
Invest outside of America.
And they are a little expensive, but I'm sure they'll muddle through okay over the next 10 or 20 years. I'm not confident that US equities will be intact in 5 years, 10 years,
Why aren't you confident that they'll be intact in 5 or 10 years?
because they're so badly overpriced today. Back in the tech bubble of 2000, we had a 10-year forecast for US equities of -2% a year for 10 years. And they came out with -3. The period from 2000 to 2010, you simply lost money in the US market. 10 years later, you had less money than you started with. And this is a higher price market, I believe, than 2000. It took 35 years for the Japanese market to recover.
So what are you saying?
What I'm saying is it's quite typical to get beaten around the head in the stock market when it becomes crazily overpriced, as it is today, and that it's a very good idea to take some responsibility and watch your tail. You will not receive the advice from investment advisors to get your tail out of the market, ever. They never, ever say it because it's bad business.
What a vid. I've actually gotten sent that video a lot. It's It's a good video. It's like very dramatic.
The music is so dramatic.
Well cut. Tells a scary tale. And probably many of you listeners who are regulars of the Personal Finance Club show, which is basically everyone, because we have no new listeners every week. That's not true. We're growing like hotcakes over here. Jake from Facebook Marketplace is one of our new listeners.
He never wrote on the Spotify comments.
Dang.
Everybody's looking for him too. There's like 5 comments that are like, Jake, are you here?
You're gonna have to go back a couple episodes to find out about Jake from Facebook Marketplace. But but yeah, everyone thinks I'm gonna say, don't listen to these like doomsday sayers, stay the course, which is what I am going to eventually say. But what I first want to say is I actually love this video, and I actually think it's a message that a lot of people need to hear, because the message that's just deafening right now is just exuberance, irrational exuberance about growth stocks, tech stocks, AI, NVIDIA, SpaceX, crypto. And, one of the rules of investing is when everyone's zigging, maybe you should be zagging. And this guy is zagging. Like, he's Mr. Zag. I never planned to be doing this zigzag thing, but
Mr. Zag sounds like a slur. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I was like, oh my God, sorry. Sorry to all the Zagersteins out there.
No.
I don't know what's the appropriate word to use for them. I don't know. Okay, now we're canceled again by a ethnic group that doesn't even exist. Yeah. But we'll find out how to do it. Get canceled by anyone. But the point is, I hear so many, especially young people. I swear, like on Reddit, every single day, I'm like subscribed to like the r/portfolio subreddit, where there's a bunch of 19-year-olds who are investing for the first time, who are like, will you rate my portfolio? And it's like, I'm 40% NVIDIA, like 10% Micron, 20% Bitcoin and 20% Dogecoin. Like, what do you think? Is this nicely diversified? And I'm like, bro, no, like all you have is like large US, like very like AI heavy stocks. And because from a 19-year-old's perspective, he's like, my entire like memorable life from the last 10 years, AI has been exploding. So I should buy the thing that goes up the most, AI. But what this guy is saying, hey, it's overpriced. AI is so expensive now that in order for it to actually make a positive return, not only is it going to have to like 100x in value, it's going to have to go 120x, because people are expecting to 100x. And so if anything less than this like insanely like huge growth in the future, even if it has really, really good growth in the future of all these companies, really, really, really good growth would result in everyone losing a bunch of money in their stocks, because people are expecting even more than that. And so he's like, it's just, the price is too high right now. And I think a lot of people need to hear that, because a lot of people are just not investing in bonds, not investing in international stocks. And I don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years. And neither does that guy, and neither does Jen, and nobody does.
Speak for yourself. I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, I know. Jen's a billionaire. She just does this for fun on the side. She's out.
Yeah, me and Elon. Oh, wait, no, he's a trillionaire now.
She's I know. Is he? I think he's kind of bouncing between.
Oh, yeah, he got booted for like a little bit.
Yeah, 100 billionaire stats and trillionaire stats. He has to keep removing his last comma from his, golden wall. Am I a trillionaire or not? But the point is, we don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years, but I can promise you the next 10 years will not be the same as the last 10 years. I mean, that's a very not bold prediction. That's like the most boring prediction ever. But everyone forgets that. Everyone just looks at the last 10 years. They're like, oh yeah, I should buy Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, by the way, is cooling off a lot. If you look at the Bitcoin 1 year returns now, for the past year, I think it's down 40%. And so I hear very little about Bitcoin these days, because the recent past performance isn't good. And so maybe now is actually not a terrible time to get into Bitcoin. I'm not saying you should, but a year ago, when Bitcoin had been up double in the last year, everyone's like, buy Bitcoin. So everyone buys at the top and then gets burned, and then, buys the next thing at the top, right? And so that's what this guy is saying, hey, you all, if you're buying these, like, he made it even broader than tech stocks. He's like, any company based in the US is overpriced. So I don't agree with that either. but what I do agree with is you need to be disciplined enough to act like a sociopathic robot and keep investing in a diversified manner, even when it's extremely unpopular. You know what's super unpopular? Bonds. Everyone's like, bonds suck. Bonds have gone down lately. Bonds are terrible. I promise you, there's going to be a decade, it might be the next decade, where bonds are the best performing asset class. And so for all your friends who are buying all the tech stocks, imagine them. They're going to have their money go down by 60% and your bonds are going to be up by 20%. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but one of these decades, that's going to happen where bonds are the best performing asset class. And so I hold some bonds in my portfolio. And guess what? International stocks, very unpopular because everyone's buzzing about US stocks. But like this guy said, he's like, they're priced a lot more reasonably. He's like, I think they're even a little bit higher priced. But yeah, what's in my portfolio? A appropriate portion of international stocks. So I have US international bonds, all the low cost. And I don't stray from that, even when people are irrationally exuberant about AI stocks. And even when guys like this are naysaying and saying to sell everything. And so I don't listen to him either. I just focus on what I'm doing, which is acquiring more shares over and over and over and staying the course. And that's how you actually build wealth over time. You know, that said, my critique of him is, he said, in 2000, we made a prediction that the market was going to be down 2% for over the next 10 years, and it was actually down 3%. I actually believe that, I didn't look it up. I believe he made that prediction. But so you're like, ooh, this guy knows when the market's going down. But I bet you he's made that prediction every decade. And even when the guy asked him, he's like, did you sell your US stocks? He's like, I did. He's like, did you own a lot? He said, no, because I already thought they were bad. But, the fact that he said, no, I didn't own any stocks, that means he missed the run up. So he was not buying stocks, US stocks 10 years ago when they like tripled in value over the last 10 years. And so now he's kind of built his personality and his perspective of the world around the fact that stocks are overpriced. And because he's so strongly believing in that, he missed this huge run up. And so now is he right today as of July of 2026 when we're recording this? Nobody knows, right? And so that's why I don't listen to these naysayers, because of course someone's going to predict the market goes down and be right every once in a while, but they're going to be wrong a lot of times too. And so I buy diversified, low cost, buy and hold, acquire more shares for the long run. That's how I do it. And the last thing I wanted to say, which I thought was really interesting that it kind of ended with, is he said, investment advisors will never tell you to sell your stocks because it's bad for their business, which is actually kind of funny. And it's actually true because most investment advisors make money by a percent of your assets they manage. And so if your asset wealth manager guy takes all of your money and goes buys a bunch of stocks, and then he comes to you and says, hey, I'm really sure the market's going to go down in the next 10 years. I mean, if he says that, you should probably fire him. But let's say he says that, and then he says, I'm going to sell everything and put into cash. Maybe you would say, okay, well, I know what to do with cash. Put the cash into my savings account and let me know when the market's going to go back up and I'll send it back to you. And that would be bad for the investment manager's business. The investment manager has to keep keep his assets under management and keep charging you that 1%. And so I actually think he's right about that, because it kind of speaks to this weird conflict of interest of those investment advisors who charge a percent of assets under management, because they're not always trying to make the most money for you. They're trying to make the most money for them, which involves you not transferring your assets away from them. Which, by the way, is why if you want a financial advisor, I always recommend to find a flat fee financial advisor where you can just pay a one-time flat fee by the hour, by the project, without the weird conflicts of interest. And of course, where do you find one? At hellonectarine.com. And by the way,
Ding!
I know is it a sponsored ad? I don't know, because I'm a founder of Nectarine and we don't have any other sponsors. So maybe Nectarine's a sponsor, but we made Nectarine because it's been really hard to find flat fee financial advisors and they're really great for the reasons I just said. And maybe that old guy who I don't know who he is, I probably should have looked up who that is.
Who is that?
I don't know. I think he's a very successful investor, or maybe he's
like
just
somebody out of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Maybe he's one of the Meisters from Game of Thrones. I don't know. I'm rewatching Game of Thrones right now.
Oh my gosh, where are you?
Season 2, middle of season 2. I don't know spoilers.
You've never watched it?
I'm rewatching. My
okay.
wife kind of watched it at some point and doesn't really remember it, so we just decided to get back and do it. I don't know.
I think I need a couple years, but eventually I'm gonna have to hunker down because it's so good.
It's really, yeah. the things I forgot about it is like it's a really, really good show, and there's like a lot of my wife doesn't really like some of the X-rated stuff. And
Oh, especially in those first couple seasons when they didn't have good contracts, full frontal nudity.
I know. I was thinking. I was like. I actually was thinking. I was like, I don't think you ever saw Khaleesi naked. And I was like, oh no, season 1 you did.
Before she got like a good deal, a good agent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, by seasons like 3, she's like, oh wait a minute, like they need me a lot more than I need them now.
Yeah,
that's not happening anymore.
it's brutal. Oh, that's so good.
All right, well,
Are you watching House of the Dragon?
What'd you say?
Are you watching the House of the Dragons?
Well, no, I think we're gonna go back after Game of Thrones and watch. Have you seen it?
That is so good. I'm caught up.
Really? Okay.
Because the season 3's on right now. That is killing.
That's good to know. I actually kind of like not watching it until it's all done, so you don't need to like wait for the next season to release, because that's really frustrating.
Yeah, I'd be on the internet too much. I would get spoiled.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Let's move on.
Let's move on to, do you want to have your question answered on the show? Go to personalfinanceclub.com/ask. Can I ask a dumb one?
You're asking a smart question to a dumb guy. And what is today's smart question?
We have an audio question. And like I said, we will prioritize audio questions. So if you want to move your question to the top, boom, you know how to do it. This question is from Greg with 2 G's. I don't know if that was a typo, but I've never seen Greg with 2 G's.
First of all, Jen, it has 3 G's. Every Greg has at least 2 G's.
Oh my gosh. You were waiting for me to mess that up.
What do you mean? I didn't know you were going to count how many G's were in this man's name and get it wrong. How would I wait for that? I just noticed. I was like, no, it's 3. Every Greg has 2 G's.
Greg with 3 G's, 2 G's at the end. And he's in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And we're going to listen to his audio question, and Jeremy's going to answer it.
Hey, Jeremy and Jen. I wanted to get your advice on how to best set up a child for success financially when I'm trying to balance things like flexibility and tax advantages. My wife and I recently had our first child, and we went ahead and opened a UTMA for him because we love the flexibility. However, one of the best gifts that my mom ever gave me was helping me open a Roth IRA when I worked for her business as a kid. I want my son to have the freedom to use his funds outside of college, which kind of makes me hesitant to lock money inside of 529. But at the same time, the new rule allowing 529 funds to be converted into a Roth IRA is incredibly appealing because I know firsthand how valuable that early head start can be. Is there a strategy here where I can get the best of both worlds? Thanks again, guys, for all you do and for providing a lot of good, sensible financial advice amid the wild investing schemes that you see a lot of on social media.
Thanks, Greg. And thanks for that little note at the end there, because sometimes it does feel like we're out there giving real, actual helpful advice, and there's a world of scammers who are getting more likes than us.
They are.
It reminds me of the Joker in Batman by Jack Nicholson, when he's like, what kind of world is it where a scammer posts fake news and gets all my press?
He's a great Joker.
Yeah. Best Joker. He was like my childhood
Heath Ledger
Joker.
is pretty good.
Yeah, it's hard not to. I mean, it's hard not
R.I.P.
to. Yeah.
What's the last guy that did it?
I don't know.
The brunette dude. You know what I'm talking about? That was actually too dark. I watched that on a plane and I was like
really?
shocked at how dark it was.
I don't think I saw it.
Oh my God, it's
right.
bad.
We're off track. I do not know
Sorry.
enough about Batman to get in this conversation. Even my callback didn't even really make any sense. Anyway, we have an editor, right? No, we just post all that stuff. Okay. So yeah, Greg's asking about investing for kids, basically, which is awesome. Congrats on having your first kid. I have a 5-year-old stepson. I had my first biological son about a year and a half ago, and so I'm right there with you.
A year and a half already?
Yeah, I think he's 16 months, and I think in 5 days I will give up saying how many months he is, because I think at 17 months it just becomes, people are like, whoa, how many is that?
Yeah.
And so I think I'm gonna start just going to half years. He's almost a year and a half. He's almost 2, whatever it is.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So yeah, but I'm right there with you. And so asking about basically how do I invest for my baby to, have this this balance of flexibility and tax benefit. And that is really the balance, because you can have ultimate flexibility in just investing in a regular old brokerage account, but then there's no special tax benefit. And so he's basically saying, okay, concerned about 529s because they lock up your money, concerned about, other investment accounts because of these things. So I'm going to break it down. But first, whenever we talk about investing for kids, I want to say 2 caveats. Caveat number 1 is the oxygen mask rule. If you yourself aren't on good financial footing, don't invest for your kids at all. If you have debt outside of your mortgage, if you aren't on pace for a healthy retirement, if you're aren't budgeting well, if you worried about paying the electric bill, and you might think, oh my gosh, like my financial life is chaos, I want to put some aside for my kid so he's on a better path. That's not a good plan, because all your kid is going to do is see a bad example and then have some money to burn and get back into the exact same situation. You'd be much better off using all the money you can to, and by the way, oxygen mask is like when you're in a plane and you put on your own mask before you put on your kid's mask, because if you do your kid's mask first and you're fumbling because he's a little toddler and squirming around, then you might pass out and you both die because then you can't get his mask on. But if you put your mask on first and then you're fumbling with his and he passes out, then you can put on a mask on a passed out kid and you both survive. And the same is true with money, right? Because if you get your own financial life in order and then you share that with your child, say, hey, we're working hard on paying off the credit card debt. We're going to knock out this credit card debt, go crazy on it, never get credit card debt again. Then your kid is learning something much more valuable than getting a few $1,000s when he's 20. Your kid's learning, I'm not going to get in credit card debt. That's why my mom's talking to me about it. That's why my dad is paying it off. And then if you aren't on pace for a healthy retirement, say, hey, we have a 401k through work. We're going to increase our contributions so that when you're an adult, we don't have to come back and live with you. And your kids are like, I'm filing that away. I'm going to increase my 401k contributions, right? And so there's financial gifts you can give your kid without just plopping a pile of cash on their plate when they turn 18 or 21 or whatever it is. So that's caveat number 1 is oxygen mask rule. And caveat number 2 is be afraid of complexity. I'm about to go through 5 different types of accounts that you can open for children, but they're all just kind of fine tuning for these, like this balance between taxes and complexity. And introducing complexity into your life or your child's life may not be financially beneficial to them. For example, you can always have an exceedingly simple plan, like everything you're going to give to your child, keep in your own brokerage account in your own name, and then write them a check at the age that you feel appropriate for the amount you feel appropriate. That is ultimately flexible. There's no requirement to spend it on school or prohibition from spending on school. There's no 59.5. There's no limit. There's no fees. There's no nothing. It's like the best and most amazing possible investing strategy possible, except for capital gains tax and a little bit of taxes on your dividends along the way. And those taxes are actually kind of advantageous taxes. They're taxed at a lower rate. Capital gains is taxed at a lower rate, sometimes as low as 0%, by the way, relative to your income tax, for example. So, that's what you're trying to beat. And so simplicity is valuable. And I think there's like a real positive value to simplicity. And so here's the different types of accounts that you can invest in. First, it's your own brokerage account, the one I just mentioned. You can just keep it in your name. So Greg, you and your wife could go to Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, Betterment, Wealthfront, Robinhood, whatever it is, go open up an account in your name or in a joint name with your wife or whatever it is, and then put the money in there and just agree with your wife saying, hey, when we get this extra money that we want to invest for the kid, we're going to put it in this account. And then we can write them a check whenever we want. And that will appear on your taxes when you sell, or will appear on your taxes along the way for any sort of dividends in the account. But again, it's relatively small because these are advantageous tax treatment for these long-term capital gains. And then you can give them the money. And you might say, hey, what if I give the money? Isn't there tax on that? Well, no, the lifetime, I always say this stat because it always gets misunderstood by people. The lifetime gift and estate tax exemption is $15 million per person this year, or $30 million combined. So you can give your kid $30 million and pay 0 gift and estate tax on it, right? So that ain't your problem. If it is your problem, you're worried about going over that 30 million and paying estate tax, then send me some money until you're below 30 million, and then you won't have that problem anymore. because I have less than 30 million, and then we'll be a little bit more equal. And you know what?
Start with me.
Too.
Yeah, I was about to say, why are you sending the millionaire money?
Well, because I'm talking, but I saw you in the corner of my eye being like, wait a minute, where do I get my money?
Yeah.
I have yet to have a 30 millionaire send me any money, by the way. But yeah, so that's option number one. Just keep it in your own account. The only reason you wouldn't do that, because every other option I'm going to give you has negatives to it. The only reason you wouldn't do it, the only con, is that you pay potentially more tax than that. And again, it might not even be a big amount of money. And so it might be worth like kind of doing a little math to say, okay, this is going to cost me like $10, $100, $1,000. What's the extra tax that I'm going to pay relative to how much money is it going to be? And is it worth the restrictions? Okay. Option number two is what you mentioned, an UTMA or UGMA. That stands for Uniform Transfer to Minors Act or Uniform Gift to Minors Act. These are basically laws that are passed that allow parents to put accounts in the name of a child, and then you are the custodian of that account until they're either 18 or 21, depending on your state. And they're very easy to open. You can go to Fidelity and just click open an UGMA, UTMA, and then you put in your state, and you can just invest it just like it's your money, but it's in their name. The pros of this are basically that same ultimate flexibility. It's just a regular old brokerage account now in your child's name. And there's even some tax advantages, because now instead of the growth of this appearing on your taxes, it's actually going to appear on their taxes. And children have no income. And so there's basically no tax on, like, if they get a few bucks in dividends and things like that, that basically won't appear on their taxes. And so,
unless they're a child star, and then they're getting lots of money.
No, true. If you're a child star, send Jen some money, and
all roads lead back to me.
The downside of a custodial account is a couple things. One is that your child owns the money. You can't take money out of that custodial account. And once they turn 18 or 21, you can't withhold it from your child any more than you could withhold it you could go into your neighbor's checking account and take money out of there. Obviously, the logistics of it might be a little different. You might have your kid's password, or you might not have your neighbor's password, but like legally, you can't do it. And so your child could potentially sue you or call the cops or whatever it is if you steal money from their UTMA or try to prevent access to it. And so, Greg, you said, I'm worried about them not going to college, or them wanting to spend money outside of education. That's cool, but you might also be worried about them spending it on drugs or something if they turn 18 and you don't find them to be financially stable enough or responsible enough. Hopefully they are. Based on the question and how thoughtful you were about the question, Greg, you specifically, I think you and your child will both be in great shape because you're thinking about this really well. But that's the con of the UTMAs. It's basically they own the money. And then another con is it might actually impact financial aid. So if you're hoping to get a grant or federal loans for being, low enough income to be approved for them when your kid reaches college age, they're going to look at the assets in your child's name and say, oh, your kid's got $1 million in an UTMA account. Pay for your own college, and to be fair, they're probably right. If you got $1 million in your UTMA, go take $100,000 and pay for college and you're in great shape. I don't spend a lot of time worrying about qualifying for financial aid just because I don't like artificially making myself feel more cheap or feel more broke to try to qualify for financial aid, both because I think it's a little bit disingenuous for the purpose of those programs, and also I think that it also is counterproductive for your own mentality. Like, I would much rather have $1 million in an UTMA account, pay $100,000 for it, and have $900,000 left over than qualified for financial aid because I have no money. Right. Mm-hmm. And so if your mentality is try to stay as broke as possible so I can qualify for aid, no, try to have as much money as possible. And then if you happen to qualify for aid, then great.
Yeah.
So that's how I think about it. So that's option number 2 is the custodial account. Option number 3, which you mentioned, Greg, is the 529. 529, the big pro is you got a really solid tax benefit, which is any money you put in is never taxed again as it grows. So for example, if you put in $1,000 to your baby's account now and it doubles twice by the time that they're college age, which is pretty reasonable, you'll have $4,000, and that $3,000 of gain is 100% tax free. Whereas if that was in your brokerage account and you were to sell $4,000 worth of stock to go write a check to the college your kid's going to, of that $3,000, maybe 10, 15, 20% of it would be shaved off the top. And instead of having $4,000, you'd be left with $3,800 or whatever it is to pay for college. And so and again, like 4,000 versus 3,800, that's not that crazy, right? That's not this horrific situation. But if you are expecting your kid to go to college, then you might as well not pay a tax and put it towards college, right? Other pros of the 529 is there's no income limit. So you're not, unlike the Roth IRA, which you can't use if you make too much money, 529s you can actually dump a ton of money into. And so if you have wealth, you could actually go dump, $50,000 into a kid's 529 the day he's born, and then basically have college covered. Who knows how much it's going to cost in 18 years, but there's high limits on things like that. And then the big con, again, it's this like tax benefit versus restriction balance that you're trying to find. The con is you have to spend it on qualified educational expenses, things like college tuition's the obvious one, but there's other sorts of trade schools, even private schools. There's a lot of things that actually count, things like supplies. There's a lot of things that count in terms of qualified educational expenses. And if you don't, I think the current rule is you can actually roll over like $35,000 of it into the Roth IRA. And so if you have too much, and there's other sorts of ways you can get out of it too, if your kid ends up getting a scholarship, or there's lots of loopholes that let you like basically rescue that money out of there rather than pay the penalty. But the penalty is 10%. So, I do think that people worry too much about getting this perfectly right. And, if the terrible thing happens, which is you have $100,000 in your 529 and you have to pay a $10,000 or 10% penalty, then you have $90,000 and, lesson, I don't even know what the lesson would be, like lesson learned, your kid didn't go to college. I mean, so yeah. But for me, there's the 520 option. Next option is what your mom did for you, which is what my parents did for me, which is when you got a job as a kid before you're 18, they open up a Roth IRA in your name and then contribute to it. And so a Roth IRA is for a kid just the same as for an adult, but you need to have earned income. And there's a contribution limit, which is $7,000 a year. And then another con is that the child owns the money, just like with the custodial account, but with a Roth IRA, they are limited from withdrawing until they're 59 and a half without the penalties. And so basically it's got this great tax favorability, and it does not impact financial aid either, which is nice because it's a retirement account. But it does have the normal cons of a retirement account. And then the last one I'll mention, Jen, do you know what the last one is? It's a new one we're talking about in the next episode.
Oh, Trump Kids account.
The Trump Kids account. And so there's this new account that's really this investment account designed for kids. And I think that the idea behind it is exactly trying to speak to young parents like you, which is say, hey, go open up an investment account in your kid's name. If your kid was born after 2025, like yours is, Greg, they'll put $1,000 for free into it. And you just fill out a tax form, which is, I think, 45, 47. Everything Trump does is a joke because he was president 45 and 47. And so you fill out form 45.
Like how I make my passwords.
Exactly. Didn't his Twitter password get leaked like a few election cycles ago because it was like MAGA 2024 exclamation point or something like that? And someone was just sitting there guessing things. And I'm like, dude, you actually like... I'm pretty sure that's a true story. I mean,
why is he even making his own passwords?
Dude.
I don't even do that. I use a password generator.
Well, exactly, because he's 80 and you're in your 30s for a few more days.
I'm counting the breaths until I turn 40. My God.
Well, come on in, Jen. The water's fine on this side of the fence. But yeah, so you fill out form 45, 47, and then. And this is new. We're recording this on July 8th. And as of July 4th, they actually release this thing. And so we're going to talk much more about Trump accounts in the next episode. Join us for that one. But you get the $3,000 is a very modest tax benefit. It's kind of annoying because it's after tax money. So you don't get a tax break for putting money in. And then you still pay income tax when you take it out, but it's all tax deferred. All the growth is tax deferred. And when I put this into a spreadsheet and like kind of do the projection going forward, I was like, is that even better than a brokerage account? And the answer is like, yeah, it actually is a little bit. But it might be a lot better than a brokerage account if you convert it to a Roth. And so there's this thing that I'm going to start coining the Trump mega backdoor Roth IRA, which is you could basically shove a bunch of money into your kid's Trump account for 18 years. And then when they're 18 and have virtually no income, you could convert that to a Roth IRA. And then you'd basically have a very well-funded Roth IRA without the requirements that your kid has a job from infancy, when they turn 18. And so I think that's a really good strategy. And then the cons to the Trump account are kind of similar to the other retirement accounts, which is there's a contribution limit. I think it's $5,000 a year currently. Your child owns the money when they turn 18, but they have limited access until they're 59 and a half. And so I know that's dizzying. Go back to the beginning and say, hey, anything you do is just trying to do a little bit better than avoiding that capital gains on that brokerage account. And so this is what I do. Any gifts, any cash gifts my children get, I put into their UTMA custodial account. And I actually have a little spreadsheet, and I log every cash gift I have 2 tabs, Mateo and Ty, the date, who gave them money, how much they gave them. And then I go and put it into their Fidelity custodial account, invested in 60/40 US International Zero Index funds. And, I think, they're up to $150 or something. But, over the course of getting gifts for, all their birthdays or Christmases or, whatever it is, graduations, things like that, maybe they're going to have a few $1,000s in there when they turn 18. And I'll explain it to them and say, hey, this is your money. This was gifted to you. I was investing it on your behalf while you're a child. This is how I did it. And when you turn 18, you're going to be an adult and you get to do with it what you want. And if they go buy drugs with it, that's on me for bad parenting, right?
Thinking of baby Ty doing drugs makes me sad.
You better not, Ty. He can say a new word now. If you say hat, he'll go, hat.
Oh my God.
I know.
He would never do drugs.
He would only whisper it for some reason. I know. I agree. I hope my kids are good kids. I keep wondering if I'm going to be some out of touch rich guy where I'm like, oh, my kids are perfect while they're coked out of their mind or something. But I hope not.
Just like their dad.
Just like their dad, who's never touched anything harder than, let's not go into this. Okay. So yeah, gifts I put in UGMA. 529s I do for both the kids. They're well funded. I plan to pay for college for both kids out of their 529, and I'm taking advantage of that tax break. And if they don't go to school, I plan to roll it over to a Roth IRA. If there's too much into the rollover to Roth IRAs and we have to pay that penalty, then, that's on me. But, I'm a believer in higher education. I think that's still going to exist in 18 years. I think that my kids both will go to college, and I plan on, incentivizing them to do so because they've got money waiting for them in their 529. Trump account, I opened one for my baby. We're going to talk about more in the episode, but I'm only planning to put the $1,000 in there for now. I might do the whole Trump backdoor Roth IRA thing, but haven't done that yet. We're 4 days into Trump accounts, so, give me a minute. And then when they get their first job, I'm absolutely going to do the same thing that your mom did for you, that my parents did for me, which is open up a Roth IRA and basically match their income and explain to them why we're doing it, what we're doing it for, show them the compound growth tables. And actually, shout out to my niece, Grayson, who just turned 18 a week ago. And I emailed her on her birthday. She didn't respond because I don't think 18-year-olds.
Her on her birthday is the oldest thing you've ever said.
And it's because it needed to be recorded because it was about the investing. And I also texted her. I also DM'd her on Instagram. So don't worry.
Yikes. But, stock much?
Well, not all the same day, over the course of the conversation. But I opened up I gave her $1,000 to open up an investment account, and we got on it. She lives in Michigan, so we had to get on a Zoom. But we got on a Zoom call, and I put the $1,000 in there, and I put, okay, this is how much you're going to have for retirement, and if you can do another $100 a month when you get a job, this is what it's going to be. I basically gave her the whole pitch on compound growth and investing, and I messaged her a few days later on Instagram. Don't worry, Jen, I was cool. I sent her a Snapchat. What are kids doing these days?
Don't say any more things.
She responded on Instagram, so kids are on Instagram, but she's like, yeah, there's $1,006 in there now. And so, I'm hoping that, little 18-year-old Grayson, she's not that little anymore. She's a grown up, but 18-year-old Grayson's going to see that money getting made. She's going to be a senior in high school in a couple months here, in a month here when school starts. And she's like, oh man, I made $100 doing nothing just from the growth of this. I need to, I want to see more of that. I'm going to put more money in.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. And so I think that same mentality, first job with my kids, we're going to do the same thing with them. And then beyond that money, basically gifts, UTMA, college, 529, job, Roth IRA. Beyond that, all of our money for our kids is in my account. It's in my brokerage account because I'm going to explain to our kids that like our kids are going to see that we're doing well. They're going to see we live in a nice house and we're going to explain to them that we work hard and all these things. But I'm going to say, hey, we're not rich kids. Mom and I are rich. You guys are poor. And if you want to be rich, you know what you have to do? You have to get a good education. You're going to have to work. And we're already, in our 5-year-old, we're already instilling that. You're like, oh, you want to watch TV? Okay, well, what chores are you going to do? He folds towels. He puts, groceries away.
Child labor.
Yeah, come after me, child labor laws. But that's going to start to instill to him, hey, you work to get nice things in this world. And so that's why I don't want to have $100,000 waiting for my 18-year-old when they're like, oh, why would I need a job? I have $100,000. That might seem like a lot of money to an 18-year-old, but you could birth that in a year, and now they're a broke kid with no, work mentality. So, very long-winded answer, Greg. I don't think you even need to ask this question for you specifically. It sounds like you have a really good grasp on it, and you're going to crush it for your child. But that's my understanding of the 5 accounts. That's what I'm doing for my children. And congrats on your baby, Greg, with 3 Gs.
See, got it, Greg. Easy.
Super easy. 30 minutes later.
Super easy. By
the end of this episode, Greg's child is going to be in 4th grade, and they'll have missed. Yeah,
I'm 40 now.
No, Jen's happy birthday. We had Jen's entire 40th birthday party since this episode started. Man, am I long-winded? But hey, we got through it. It's a potentially busy question, so there.
I'm sure a lot of people have the same question, and they can refer back to this episode.
Yeah.
All right, 45. Let's get into our last segment. Jeremy had time today.
We're in the comments, you're flaming me, you're telling me I'm an idiot, and I get to defend myself without you being able to say anything back, which is why I like it.
Good luck.
What is the post we're responding to today?
This is from an Instagram post called The Easy Million. Tell us what we're seeing here in the post, and then I'll tell us the comment.
Yeah, it says The Easy Million. Step 1, open a Roth IRA. Step 2, auto-invest $500 a month into a target date index fund. Step 3, wait 40 years. And then projected inflation-adjusted tax-free value, $1.2 million. And it really is that easy. It's so crazy simple. And this is not a popular post because it's just so boring. But it's so smart because, I say that as someone who wrote it, but it's so smart because it's really correct. You don't need to do anything else. And the less you do, the more money you're going to have. And there really is $2 million, $1.2 million waiting for you after inflation. This is like, you can think of it in today's dollars. If you just do the simple steps, and anything beyond this, other than putting more money in, is really just introducing complexity. So this person said in response to my Easy Million, they said what?
So I'm going to read their comment. I'm also going to read a response to their comment defending you, but okay. So the first comment says, years of prime time where life should be enjoyed instead of waiting when one is too old, tired, and frail to care about having $1 million. And then somebody responded to that comment before you could even get to it and said, it's possible to both save for retirement. I said save for retirement, but that's okay. We forgive them. Save for retirement and enjoy your youth. Are you planning on working until you die?
Thanks, defender commenter who got 0 likes in that comment. So my response to the original commenter is, first of all, I would say you're right. If your plan is to live a horrible life until you turn 75 and then you have $2 million and then you're going to start enjoying your life, that's a life wasted. And there are people for whom the pendulum swings too far in that direction. And I've probably been guilty of that myself on occasion, where I will say no to an opportunity or say no to spending money because I'm trying to save for something greater down the road, and I'm missing life along the way. And don't do that. And so you're right. That said, I think for most people, the pendulum's too far in the other direction, which is you're living beyond your means and you're upgrading at the club for no reason, and you're, in credit card debt, and you have no savings, you have no investments, and you're stressed about money every single day, and you're, worried about paying the light bill, and if you lose your job, you're ruined, and, all this horrible mismanagement of money. And that's a also not a great way to live because you're stressed out and you're not actually living your best life and you're not saving to have even better opportunities down the future for you and your children. And so kind of like this response set is like, what's your plan? To be broke your entire life, spend every single dollar and be living on the edge and then work as a Walmart greeter when you're 80? That's not a great life either. And so to people who say, I don't want to wait 40 years to have $1 million. There's a few things I'm going to say to you. One is that you're likely not starting from zero. Most people who are hearing me right now probably don't have 0.00 in their bank account and 0.00 investing. You might already have 5,000 or 10,000 from a 401k you had a few years ago, and you might have paid off a bunch of debt you accrued in college. You've been making a lot of progress up until this point, and so you're not actually at the starting line. You're kind of in the middle, and you're going to get there much faster than 40 years because you've already been doing some things well the past few years. Two is that once you start seeing some traction, things tend to accelerate. If I just do exactly what this simple post said in a vacuum, open account, set it to auto invest and left alone, I'd have 1.2 million bucks in 40 years. I'll take it. You're going to have more money than most people in 40 years. But once you see that working, you're like, if 500 is doing this much, why not 600? Why not 850? Why not 1250? Oh, I got a job. I have $1,000 extra a month. Like, why don't I put in 1,500 more a month? Suddenly, you're going to get to $1 million way faster, and you're going to get to multi-millions, by retirement. And then you can start saying, okay, well, maybe I'll take some out. Maybe I'll fly first class. Maybe I'll go on the extra vacation, whatever it is. And so things will accelerate. And you don't even need to wait for that, because if you start doing this, your life gets better today. And so the YOLOers out there who are saying, oh, you're wasting your primetime life. I'm like, no, your primetime life gets better today, because when you are in control of your finances and organized and planning and investing and growing and building a foundation, you feel better. You're less stressed. There's less risk of losing your job. You have more freedom. Like, let's say you're somewhere in this path from 0 to $1 million and you have $200,000. And scenario A, you're flat broke. And if you quit your job, you're going to starve. And in scenario B, you have $200,000 invested. And then in this alternate universe life, your boss starts abusing you or something horrific. In scenario B, you can quit and sue him or whistle blow or do whatever it is you need to do to do the right thing for your life. Because
taking notes. Quit, sue him.
Jen's like, wait, I could do that? Okay. Good thing this is virtual, Jen. She's like, you can still abuse me virtually. Much of it's been recorded on this podcast, by the way.
Right,
so
exactly.
Your lawyer will be tickled with all this evidence, I'm sure. Hey, by the way, I told people to send you money twice today. So I've got evidence too. But the point is, if you've got a little bit of money as a buffer, I'm not saying you're going to want to spend that, but it gives you options. You can say, hey, I can quit, I can whistleblow, I can lawyer up, I can do what's right for my life and not starve because I've been doing things right. Whereas if you're flat broke, maybe you're too afraid. And this is a really terrible thing about capitalism and being broke in America, but people feel trapped in situations, trapped with an abusive job, trapped with an abusive partner, trapped in a terrible situation of one or the other. And so that buffer, even if you don't spend it, its existence gives you options, because you can quit, go look for another job, and not starve while you're looking. So, the point of this isn't, oh man, you're going to be making it rain when you're 75 and just wait till bottle service gets a hold of you. That's definitely not the message, because do you ever do bottle service, Jen?
I've never done bottle service. Have you?
Have you ever had someone else in your group do bottle service?
No, I've seen it go by me.
Oh, really?
I've
I've been a part of bottle service. If you don't know what bottle service is, it's this might be a California, you have to be in a big city, but if you go to a super annoying loud club where there's a line to get in, you can pay an outrageous amount of money to have a private table and then bring you a well-lit bottle of booze for just an offensive amount of money. A bottle
maybe in my 20s, maybe, but I don't.
Yeah.
Not enough to remember.
No, when I had done it, I was broke. And so I would only do it if, and I'm saying do it, like I think it was twice or something where I was at a bachelor party or something and someone else who had money was like, we're doing bottle service. And
right.
Like I hated the entire experience. But I think that's like, in my mind, that's like the extreme of like just burning money for the sake of burning money, because a bottle of booze that would cost you like $50 at the grocery store, you pay like $800 for, and that's not even exaggerating. That's like a in Vegas, I once took a picture of this like bottle service menu, and there's literally bottles of champagne there for like $250,000. And I'm not exaggerating. It's like on the menu.
Crazy.
And I even was wondering, I was like, how do you pay for that? Do people have a credit card that has that kind of limit? Do you bring your mortgage broker there and like sign some paperwork? Like, how do you pay $250,000 when you're drunk at Vegas? But it just shows that, because in Vegas people might have hundreds of millions and they're like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna make a statement about burning money.
Wow.
But anyway, that's not the point of this. The point is to like, live the better life in the, more fruitful way, not the bottle service way. Talked a lot about bottle service this episode.
I'm just surprised. I can't imagine you at a bottle service table. Okay. We did it, Joe. We are at the end of the episode.
Wait, who's Joe?
You don't know that Kamala meme when they won?
We did it, Joe. Okay,
we did it, Joe.
I thought Joe was one of the question askers. It's like, no, it's
sorry.
Greg.
It's like a stim. Like anytime I say we did it, I can't not say Joe. I'm so sorry. It's like an inside joke in my head that obviously you were not clued into.
Yes, they did do it.
That's always very effective for podcasts with two people.
I feel like when Kamala did not do it, the next episode, it kind of ruined that whole meme, because
I know. I love how you said episode instead of election.
Oh, that's episode. God, I'm the worst. I'm just a content creator, influencer, piece of trash these days. Episode, election. I always get company and country confused too. When I mean to say company and I say country, or vice versa. They're
interesting.
Too similar. My brain it's either working too fast or not at all, and I say the wrong words. So
I'm with you.
There you have it.
We did a great job.
If you have
sorry.
And this is the first time this has been an amazing episode for video quality, at least for me. And we can actually interact in real time, which feels really good.
It's nice.
But now we're talking over each other for the first time. But if you want to be wealthy and not talk over your content creator co-host, all you gotta do is follow the 2 rules of Personal Finance Club. Rule number 1, live below your means, and rule number 2, invest early and often. See you next week.
The Personal Finance Club show is produced by Jeremy Schneider and Jen Mundia. Music by Esabalu and Homie. Send your questions to podcast@personalfinanceclub.com. The Personal Finance Club show is co-hosted by Jeremy Schneider, who is a co-owner of Nectarine, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The views expressed on this show are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Nectarine. Please refer to hellonectarine.com for all relevant disclosures. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as personalized investment advice or a solicitation to buy or sell any security. Listeners should consult their own financial, legal, or tax professionals for advice specific to their situation.